And we're back with the next segment. And since I'm recording it right away, I'm not switching hats. Um, so we were talking about education, pretty good rate of return, but there's arguments that may say it's overstated. How about some arguments that may indicate that it's understated? And that is, if you look at wages alone and don't look at total compensation, it is the case that fringe benefits are going to be positively related to earnings. Okay, the non monetary aspects of compensation may be significantly better for those who are higher wage earners. In other words, if you're in a higher paying job, you may get better health benefits. You are more likely to have a defined benefit pension. That's what Cal State employees have. A defined benefit pension determines your retirement income based upon wages, years of service, and then some sort of formula that factors all of that in. That's very different than a defined contribution a retirement plan, which is a 401k plan, which has become more common, but always was more associated with lower paying jobs, and the employer might match, might not even match the contribution that you make. And let's face it, higher wage earners will benefit from the non-taxability of much of what they get in the way of fringe benefits. So it's no surprise that fringe benefits in higher paying professions will be more lucrative than it will be for lower paying professions. And therefore, when we take that into account, then the differences may in fact be bigger than they show. So they're really being understated if we're looking at wages alone. Okay. And again, and I don't want to underemphasize this point, selection. Okay. People steer away from things that they're not so good at. And so it kind of is what it is, but simply sprinkling a college education on someone doesn't mean that they're going to be enhanced to the degree that others who find learning to be less of a chore, the psychic cost that we talked about earlier, not an issue. Now, as you know, at CSUN, most of your education is paid for by the state. In other words, it's paid for by taxpayers. And even though tuition's gone up over the last several years, it's still a really good deal in terms of what you pay annually for your college education versus the total cost of that education. So we may ask ourselves, why? Why do the taxpayers saddled with the cost of your education? Well, it makes sense if getting an education is good for society. So here are the arguments that the issues that we talk about in trying to address that. Because we don't want to just take for granted education is a good thing. If it's such a great thing, why don't you pay for it? Because you're going to reap the benefits from it. Why make me pay for it? Okay, so here's the arguments that we toss out. Number one, education enables workers to be more productive. Okay, and if it makes them more productive, they're going to be higher wage earners, and they're going to be paying more in taxes, and it's going to pay it back. So as taxpayers, we're paying it forward by enabling you to get your education that will enhance your value and make you a higher wage earner and more of a taxpayer in the future. Okay. Obviously, relating to that is if you have a higher level of education, makes you more employable, you're less likely to engage in a life of criminal activity. And so we're making an investment now to avoid dealing with all the aspects relating to crime and incarceration and punishment and the legal system and all of that later on. So it's a good investment in that sense. Education may be valuable to society as a screening device. And this is where what college you go to might matter, right? When I look at someone with a college degree versus someone from high school, if you know who only stopped at high school or an AA degree, if you know nothing else about them, you probably believe that the college grad is going to be a more productive individual. If you look at someone who graduated from CSUN and you compare them with someone who graduated from UCLA or Stanford, right away you're going to say, oh, the person who graduated from UCLA or Stanford is going to be more productive than the CSUN graduate. As a generalization, that's not inaccurate, but I've had a lot of students, and I taught 9 years at UCLA. I've had a lot of students at CSUN who are every bit as good or better than the students that I had at UCLA. So as a general rule, of course, rankings and all that do matter to a degree, but it's not the end all and be all. Okay, so society definitely benefits in a variety of ways that hopefully justifies the subsidy that we are providing to students. Okay, let's take a look at the